Welcome back to the channel where we dive deep into the fascinating world of numismatics, uncovering the stories, secrets, and staggering values behind the coins in your pocket. And today we're exploring an absolute gem, the 1991 D Washington quarter, a coin that sparked wild speculation and jaw-dropping valuations, with some claiming it could be worth up to $70 million due to its rare errors and mistakes. So buckle up as we journey into the intricate details of this modern marvel, its historical context, the minting process, the specific errors that make it a collector's holy grail, and the tantalizing possibilities that drive its value into the stratosphere, all while keeping you hooked on why this unassuming quarter could be the find of a lifetime. The Washington quarter, first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, is one of the most iconic coins in U.S. history, designed by John Flanagan, featuring the stoic profile of the first president on the obverse and a majestic eagle with spread wings on the reverse, clutching arrows, and an olive branch, symbolizing strength and peace, with inscriptions like United States of America and $quarter framing the design. And by 1991, this coin had transitioned from its original silver composition to a clad construction, with a core of 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel, coated in a 75% copper and 25% nickel layer, giving it that familiar silvery sheen, weighing 5.67 grams, measuring 24.3 millimeters in diameter, and featuring a reeded edge. But what makes the 1991 D quarter, struck at the Denver Mint with its distinctive D mint mark near Washington's ponytail, so extraordinary isn't its standard design but the rare and captivating errors that emerged during its production, errors that transform an ordinary 25-cent piece into a numismatic treasure potentially worth millions. In 1991, the Denver Mint churned out over 630 million Washington quarters, a massive mintage that suggests these coins should be common, yet within this vast sea of pocket change lie specimens with minting mistakes so rare and remarkable that collectors and experts have speculated values reaching astronomical figures. And to understand why, we need to delve into the minting process itself, where coins are born from blank discs called planchets, punched from metal sheets, fed into presses, and struck with obverse and reverse dies to imprint their designs, a process prone to imperfections when machinery, human oversight, or material flaws come into play. And in the case of the 1991 D quarter, several types of errors have been documented, each adding layers of rarity and value, from doubled dies to misaligned strikes, off-center errors, and even planchet anomalies, each a tiny accident in the minting process that creates a one-of-a-kind masterpiece. Let's start with the doubled die error, one of the most sought-after mistakes in coin collecting, where the die used to strike the coin is misaligned during its creation, causing elements of the design to appear doubled. And for the 1991 D quarter, collectors have identified both doubled die obverse (DDO) and doubled die reverse (DDR) errors, with doubling most noticeable on inscriptions like "In God We Trust" on the obverse or "E Pluribus Unum" and $quarter on the reverse, creating a shadow-like effect where letters seem to overlap or blur. And while a typical 1991 D quarter in circulated condition is worth its face value of 25 cents, a double die example in mint state, graded MS65 or higher on the Sheldon scale, which ranges from 1 for poor condition to 70 for perfect, can fetch between $50 and $100, but in pristine MS67 condition, with sharp details and no wear, prices can soar into the hundreds or even thousands, especially if the doubling is pronounced and verified by grading services like PCGS or NGC, and the rarity of finding such a coin in top condition amplifies its value exponentially, as only a handful of MS67 or higher examples are known to exist, making them a collector's dream. Another error that elevates the 1991 D quarter's value is the misaligned die error, where the obverse or reverse die is not perfectly aligned with the planchet, resulting in a design that's slightly offset, perhaps shifted to the left, right, or top, creating an asymmetrical appearance. And while this error is more common than a doubled die, a 1991 D quarter with a noticeable misalignment, especially in high grades, can command $10 to $25, but when combined with other factors like exceptional luster or minimal contact marks, the value can climb higher. And collectors prize these coins for their unique visual appeal, as the offset design creates a striking contrast to the standard, perfectly centered quarter. Then there's the off-center strike, a dramatic error where the planchet is not properly positioned in the press, causing the design to be struck off-center, sometimes leaving a portion of the coin blank, and depending on the degree of misalignment, say, 10% to 50% off-center, These coins can be worth $50 to several $100s, with extreme examples, where only a sliver of the design appears, fetching even more, and for a 1991 D-quarter, an off-center strike in uncirculated condition could easily push its value into the thousands, as collectors are drawn to the bold, unmistakable imperfection that makes each piece unique. Planchet errors also play a significant role in the 1991 D-quarter's potential for massive value, such as a coin struck on the wrong planchet, a rare occurrence where a quarter might be struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination, like a dime or nickel, resulting in a coin that's the wrong size, weight, or metal composition. And while no specific 1991 D-quarter struck on a foreign planchet has been widely documented, the possibility exists, and similar errors in other years, like a quarter struck on a dime planchet, have sold for tens of thousands, so a verified 1991 D example could theoretically reach 6 or 7 figures, especially if it's a clad quarter struck on a silver planchet from an earlier era, a mistake that would be both rare and historically significant. Another planchet-related error is the missing clad layer, where the outer nickel-copper coating fails to bond properly, exposing the copper core and creating a two-tone appearance, with parts of the coin looking reddish or dull, and such errors in 1991 D-quarters are highly desirable, typically valued at $20 to $30 for minor cases, but a coin with a significant missing clad layer, especially in mint state, could fetch hundreds, as collectors love the striking visual contrast and the story of a minting mishap. Die cracks, where the die itself develops fractures that transfer onto the coin as raised lines or ridges, are another error to watch for, and a 1991 D-quarter with a prominent die crack, such as one running from the eagle's beak to the rim or across Washington's portrait, can add $10 to $50 to its value, with more dramatic examples, like a retained die break where a piece of the die remains intact, potentially worth more, as seen in online forums where collectors have reported finding such errors and speculated on their value, though exact prices depend on the crack's visibility and the coin's condition. One particularly intriguing error unique to Washington quarters is the spitting eagle variety, where a die crack creates the appearance of a line extending from the eagle's beak to the rim, giving the impression that the eagle is spitting, and while this error is more commonly associated with other years, its presence on a 1991 D-quarter would make it a standout, potentially worth hundreds in high grades due to its quirky appeal and rarity. The $70 million valuation, however, likely stems from a combination of these errors occurring on a single coin or a speculative outlier, such as a unique, one-of-a-kind error that captures the imagination of the collecting community, and while no single 1991 D-quarter has sold for this amount, the figure could reflect the potential for an ultra-rare error coin, like a double-struck, off-center, wrong planchet specimen in perfect MS-70 condition, graded by a top-tier service and auctioned during a peak market, as seen with other modern coins that have fetched millions due to their rarity and collector demand, such as the 1969 double die Lincoln cent, which sold for over $1 million. The Sheldon grading scale, developed in the 1970s to standardize coin grading, plays a critical role in determining value, with circulated 1991 D-quarters, graded P1 to -58 Australian dollars, typically worth 25 cents to 85 cents, but uncirculated coins in MS65 or higher, especially with errors, see exponential price jumps, with MS66 examples scarce and MS67 or above extremely rare, often taking years to appear in the market, and a perfect MS70 coin, with no imperfections under 8x magnification, is virtually unheard of for 1991 D-quarters, making any error coin in this grade a potential record breaker. The Denver Mint's high output in 1991 means most quarters are common, but the law of large numbers suggests that among 630 million coins, a few spectacular errors slip through, and the first 30 days after a coin's release are critical for spotting first-strike errors, which carry an FS designation and command higher premiums, though even later discovered errors can be valuable if they're unique. The allure of the 1991 D-quarter's value also lies in its historical context, as 1991 marked a time when the U.S. Mint was refining its processes, yet mechanical and human errors persisted, creating opportunities for mistakes that modern digital minting has largely eliminated, and the Washington quarter's enduring design, tied to the nation's founding, adds sentimental value, especially for collectors seeking high-grade or error coins from the early 1990s, a period often overlooked in favor of older silver quarters or modern commemorative issues like the 50-state quarters program that began in 1999. Collectors should look for specific signs of errors using a loupe or magnifying glass, checking for doubling on letters, misaligned designs, or unusual metal coloration, and compare their coins to reference images from trusted sources like PCGS or NGC, while proper storage in non-PVC holders and handling with cotton gloves can preserve a coin's condition, as oils from fingers or environmental exposure can degrade value over time. Market trends also influence the 1991 D-quarter's worth, with high-grade modern coins gaining popularity in registry sets, where collectors compete to assemble the finest examples, and as these coins age, surviving MS65+ specimens become scarcer, driving prices higher, especially for errors that stand out at auction, where a single coin with multiple errors, like a double die, off-center strike, and missing clad layer, could spark a bidding war, potentially approaching the $70 million mark if hyped as a unique specimen, though such a price would likely require a perfect storm of rarity, condition, and collector frenzy, as seen in rare cases like the 1976 bicentennial quarter errors that have sold for thousands. Online platforms like eBay, heritage auctions, or great collections are prime spots to buy or sell these quarters, but local coin shops or shows offer opportunities to connect with dealers and collectors, and professional grading can enhance a coin's value by verifying its authenticity and condition, though collectors should beware of counterfeits or post-mint damage mistaken for errors, as true mint mistakes are verified by experts and listed in reference guides. The possibility of a $70 million 1991 D-quarter may also reflect urban legend or exaggerated hype, as no documented sale has reached this figure, but the potential exists for an undiscovered gem, perhaps a mule error where a quarter obverse is paired with a different denomination's reverse, or a multi-error coin in pristine condition, and collectors should keep an eye on coin rolls or pocket change, as many valuable errors are still found in circulation, with stories of lucky finds fueling the hobby's excitement. The 1991 D-quarter's allure lies not just in its errors but in the stories they tell, of mint workers rushing to meet quotas, machines misfiring, or planchets slipping through quality control, each mistake a snapshot of a moment in 1991 when a coin destined for vending machines became a numismatic legend, and whether you're a seasoned collector or a curious beginner, the hunt for these errors is a thrilling adventure, with the chance to uncover a coin that could redefine your collection or even your financial future, so keep checking those quarters, because the next one you find might just be the one worth $70 million. Next, let's dive into the fascinating world of the 1991 D Washington quarter, a coin that, due to a series of rare and extraordinary minting errors, has captured the imagination of numismatists and collectors worldwide, with some speculating that a single specimen could be valued at an astonishing $400 million, a figure that seems almost unbelievable for a humble 25-cent piece but is grounded in the unique confluence of minting mistakes, historical context, and collector fervor that elevates certain coins to legendary status. The 1991 D-quarter, minted at the Denver Mint with a staggering production run of 630,966,693 coins, is not inherently rare in terms of sheer numbers, but what makes specific examples of this coin so extraordinarily valuable are the errors and varieties that slip through the mint's quality control, transforming an ordinary piece of pocket change into a numismatic treasure that could theoretically command such an eye-watering price. To understand why this coin could reach such a valuation, we need to explore the intricate details of its production, the types of errors that occurred, and the broader context of coin collecting that drives demand for these rarities. The Washington quarter, first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, features John Flanagan's iconic design with the first president's profile on the obverse and an eagle with outstretched wings on the reverse, clutching arrows and olive branches symbolizing strength and peace. By 1991, the quarter had transitioned from its original silver composition to a copper-nickel-clad structure, with a core of 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel, weighing 5.67 grams and measuring 24.3 millimeters in diameter with a reeded edge. The Denver Mint's D mint mark, found next to Washington's ponytail on the obverse, identifies these coins, and while most circulated 1991 D quarters are worth only their face value of 25 cents or slightly more in uncirculated condition, typically $1 to $12, certain error coins from this year have become the stuff of legend, with their value amplified by rarity, condition, and the insatiable appetite of collectors for unique pieces. One of the most significant errors that could justify such an astronomical valuation is the double die error, particularly a dramatic double die obverse, DDO, or double die reverse, DDR, where the coin's design appears duplicated due to a misalignment during the die creation process, creating a visually striking effect where inscriptions like "Liberty," "In God We Trust," or "$quarter" appear to have a shadow or overlap. For the 1991 D quarter, a strong double die error, especially one affecting prominent design elements like Washington's portrait or the eagle, could fetch $50 to $100 in lower grades, but in pristine, uncirculated condition, MS67 or higher, such an error could theoretically push the coin's value into the tens or hundreds of thousands, as collectors prize these dramatic imperfections for their rarity and aesthetic appeal. While no known 1991 D double die is currently documented as commanding $400 million, the possibility exists that an undiscovered or uniquely pronounced example could emerge, especially given historical precedents like the 1955 double die Lincoln penny, which has sold for over $100,000 due to its bold doubling. Another error that could elevate a 1991 D quarter's value is an off-center strike, where the coin's design is misaligned, leaving part of the planchet blank or with only partial design elements visible. A 5 to 10% off-center strike might be worth $50 to $100, but a more dramatic 50% or greater off-center error, particularly in gem condition, could command thousands, as these errors are visually striking and exceedingly rare, with only a tiny fraction of coins escaping the mint with such flaws. Even more valuable would be a broad strike error, where the coin is struck without the retaining collar, causing the metal to spread outward, resulting in a larger than normal diameter and a distorted, stretched appearance. A 1991 D quarter with a significant broad strike could fetch hundreds or thousands, depending on the extent of the error and the coin's condition. Perhaps the most tantalizing possibility, and one that could theoretically push a coin's value into the stratosphere, is a wrong planchet error, where a 1991 D quarter design is struck on a planchet intended for another denomination, such as a dime, nickel, or even a Sacagawea dollar planchet, which was being tested around this time as the U.S. Mint prepared for the 2000 release of the golden dollar. Such an error would be exceptionally rare, as planchets are carefully sorted, but mistakes do happen, as seen in cases like the 1959 penny struck on a dime planchet, which sold for over $2,000. A 1991 D quarter struck on a gold-colored Sacagawea planchet, for instance, would be a one-of-a-kind numismatic marvel, potentially worth millions due to its uniqueness, historical significance, and the allure of experimental alloys, which collectors have paid massive premiums for in other cases, such as the 1999 Georgia quarters struck on experimental planchets valued at up to $10,000. Another rare error is the double denomination strike, where a coin already struck with one design is accidentally fed back into the press and struck again with a different denomination's design, such as a quarter struck over a previously struck dime or nickel. While no confirmed 1991 D double denomination errors are widely documented, the discovery of such a coin would be a numismatic bombshell, potentially valued in the 6 or 7 figures due to its extreme rarity and the fascination it would generate among collectors. Clad layer errors, where the nickel coating is missing or partially peeled, creating a two-tone effect, are also possible, though less dramatic, typically adding $10 to $30 to a coin's value, but in combination with other errors, they could enhance a coin's uniqueness and marketability. A clipped planchet error, where a portion of the coin's edge is missing due to a malfunction in the blanking process, might add $10 to $30 in value, but a coin with multiple clipped areas or a dramatic crescent shape could fetch more, especially if paired with other errors. Die cracks and cuds, where a piece of the die breaks off, leaving raised blobs or irregular marks on the coin, are also collectible, with values ranging from $10 to $150 depending on the size and location of the cud. For instance, a 1991 D quarter with a cud covering part of the D mint mark or Washington's portrait could be particularly desirable. A rare and intriguing error specific to Washington quarters is the line-to-rim error, where a die crack creates a line from the eagle's beak to the inner rim on the reverse, potentially adding significant value due to its uniqueness. The most valuable 1991 D quarter documented to date, graded MS67, sold for $1,680 at a 2019 Heritage Auction sale, a far cry from $400 million but indicative of the premium placed on high-grade, error-free coins, suggesting that an error coin in similar condition could fetch exponentially more. The $400 million valuation, while speculative, could be justified by a hypothetical perfect storm scenario, a 1991 D quarter with multiple errors, say, a dramatic double die obverse, struck 50% off-center on a Sacagawea planchet, with a cut and a missing clad layer, graded MS67 or higher, authenticated by a service like PCGS or NGC, and tied to a unique historical narrative, such as being a test piece from the Mint's experimental phase in the early 1990s. Such a coin would be a singular artifact, akin to the 1933 Double Eagle or the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, both of which have sold for millions due to their rarity and backstory. The numismatic market thrives on rarity, condition, and demand, and the 1991 D-quarter, while common in circulated form, becomes a candidate for such an astronomical price when these factors align perfectly. Collectors are willing to pay premiums for coins that stand out, and eras amplify this desirability by making each coin a unique piece of art and history. The early 1990s were a time of economic recovery and minting innovation, with the U.S. Mint experimenting with new alloys and designs, increasing the likelihood of errors slipping through as production demands were high. The Washington quarter's long history and symbolic importance, used to commemorate events like the 50-state quarters program starting in 1999, add to its collectible appeal, making error coins from this series particularly sought after. Authentication is critical, as counterfeit errors exist, and having a coin graded by a reputable service ensures its legitimacy and maximizes its value. The allure of finding such a coin in pocket change or a bank roll drives collectors to scrutinize their 1991 D-quarters closely, looking for doubling, misalignments, or unusual metal compositions. The speculative $400 million price tag reflects not just the coin's intrinsic errors but also the cultural phenomenon of coin collecting, where rarity, beauty, and historical significance converge to create value far beyond the metal itself. While no 1991 D-quarter has yet sold for anywhere near this amount, the discovery of a coin with a combination of rare errors, pristine condition, and a compelling provenance could theoretically approach such a figure, especially in a heated auction environment where collectors compete for a once-in-a-lifetime piece. So, the next time you come across a 1991 D-quarter, take a closer look. It might just be the numismatic equivalent of winning the lottery. https://www.coinvaluechecker.com/how-much-is-a-1991-quarter-worth https://www.downylink.com/the-true-value-of-a-comprehensive-guide-for-collectors https://coins.thefuntimesguide.com/1991-quarter-value